here in the United States. You're my heroes. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You are the wind beneath my wings. Carlos told me that I should sing. It might ingratiate myself better. I spoke to the Washington briefing in March and sang there. It seemed to go over well. Well, at any rate, I want to recognize Diane Scacchetti from New Jersey, who serves on the board of IBTTA, and she served in a number of roles in Florida and New Jersey on the IBTTA board. So thank you for inviting us to be here today and to participate in this partner forum. 7 years ago, almost exactly 7 years ago, back in 2011, at this meeting of AASHTO's board of directors, AASHTO and IBTTA signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperation. And Susan Martinovich, who's with us in the audience today, was the president of AASHTO at that time, and Frank McCartney was the president of IBTTA at that time. And that MOU said in part that both associations seek to promote safe, efficient, and sustainable surface transportation, advance the user pays principle in the design, development, and funding of surface transportation infrastructure, and advance public policies, laws, and regulations that allow states to use toll financing wherever they choose to build, to rebuild, and maintain their existing interstate highways, because traditional revenues, including the gas tax alone, are inadequate to meet present or future needs. I think that was a really good beginning, and we appreciate AASHTO's alliance and support in advancing those objectives. 2 years ago, IBTTA convened a transportation visioning summit, and I think most of you have at your places a copy of this report on the futures of transportation. And the purpose of that summit was to develop a vision for a federal transportation program that addresses current and future challenges. And while we didn't conclude that meeting with a specific recommendation, I think it was an important step in the right direction. And people like Bud Wright was at that meeting, and Neil Peterson from TRB, Chris Spear from the American Trucking Associations, Pete Ruane from ARTBA, Steve Sandher from AGC, and a host of others. I say this, the point of all this is to say that this is the kind of thing that we at IBTTA like to do. We like to work with our partner organizations to envision and to shape the future of transportation. So before I introduce my colleague, Chris Tomlinson, I just want to say that we look forward to many more opportunities to work together, both in a policy level and a communication and education level. And a word of advice to Jim Timon: you're going to be the new executive director soon, and one of your main jobs is to make your president look good. So now I want to introduce Chris Tomlinson, who is the first vice president of IBTTA. He didn't have to travel far to get here. He's here in Atlanta with the State Road and Tollway Authority of Georgia. He also has a couple of other jobs in transportation. Chris has a very big job, not only here in Atlanta, but also with IBTTA. Please join me in welcoming Chris Tomlinson.
I promise not to sing. So, seriously, thank you, Pat, and John, and Bud. As Pat mentioned, I have the privilege and pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for the State Road and Tollway Authority, the Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, and as the Interim Executive Director of the Atlanta Region Transit Link Authority. So across these different organizations, and along with the pleasure that comes from having 3 separate boards, I basically serve as the executive director over the state's toll operations, which also has a transportation financing component to it, the delivery of regional transit services, and now with this latest entity, the ATL, or Atlanta Region Transit Link Authority, playing a role over transit funding and governance for the entire Metro Atlanta region. A lot of people ask, well, how'd you end up with all these jobs? And for this group, basically, your colleague Russell McMurray got tired of coordinating his calendar with all these different agency heads. So thank you for this job to make your calendar better. So, all jokes aside, the evolution of my position has been based on really a successful and purposeful formula of planning, coordinating, and collaborating amongst the different transportation entities here in the state of Georgia. And this success and this partnership has resulted and is evident by the fact that we were able to successfully raise our state gas tax a few years ago through House Bill 170. Also passed new legislation dealing with transit just last year with House Bill 930. And coming together for incidents that we can't really plan on, such as dealing with our interstate bridge collapse, and just working together, spending that time talking, communicating, and collaborating in advance of the unexpected, so that when the unexpected occurs, we're ready to act and execute to fulfill the needs of our state and our region. What we also did, because you guys were here in town, is we started tolling a new reversible managed lane just this weekend, and got through rush hour this morning. If anything had gone wrong, we would have somehow found a way to blame it on you, but it went very well, so that was good. Really just picking up for what Pat was saying and the examples that I was mentioning. A winning formula and strategy for our associations to look at pursuing together. Coordinated strategies to help move the entire transportation sector forward. Listen to a lot of the commentary and the questions, and when I think about what we do at IBTTA, our focus on tolling, we're looking at it as a user-based fee, but it can be for revenue generation. Maybe that's on the capital side. Maybe that's ongoing operations and maintenance. Many of you around this room are already familiar with those. We're also using it now for demand management strategies. Partnering with Russell and his incredible team at the Georgia DOT, we've launched and planned a managed lane network, where we're looking at using this strategy to help finance that program, but also help manage that scarce commodity that is the capacity that it offers. We can duplicate this on a larger scale by having our associations collaborate on these strategies, not only at the state level, but also at the federal level. The other message I want to bring to this group is, if you listen to our name, International Bridge, Tunnel, and Turnpike Association, the word that does not appear is tolls. Tolls is the main mean or mechanism that we rely on to execute our mission, and it's what we have in common with our association members. But it goes far beyond that. What we're doing in the area of technology, often in times either within or in collaboration with our DOTs, puts us at the forefront for future collaborations dealing in areas such as safety and DSRC and vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communications and pilots and strategies. These are areas where I think both of our authorities could partner, but also take a parallel track to help move and advance these initiatives forward. As we look to the future, the collective transportation sector will all be dealing with the impact and evolution and deployment of more and more autonomous vehicles and things that are going to go ahead and utilize the surface transportation network in ways that weren't contemplated when it was first deployed. These are, again, areas I think we can partner with successfully so that we can bring best practices to the states and to the federal government and ultimately to the American people. In 2019, I'll have the privilege of serving as the head of IBTTA, and the theme I've selected for that is driving the future of mobility, because that's really collectively what the challenges that we all face are now seeming to coalesce around. I think that this is an area where we can partner and do great things for this country. And I really just look forward to working with each and every one of you. I look around the room. I did spend some time at a DOT, and that partnership is already taking place. The question is, can we find some ways, be it in the area of policy, strategies, and best practices, to come at it with a consensus so that all the collective voices in the transportation sector are working in the same path and same direction and offering up solutions. I learned a lot just watching how you guys vote. And I think there's areas that we can partner and work together to move whatever comes out of your committees forward. So, but all kidding aside, taking up a lot of your time. Again, welcome to Atlanta. Good luck with the rest of your meeting. And Carlos, I look forward to working with you next year as we continue to try to move America forward. Thank you.
We do appreciate those partnerships and hope to continue that as we go forward in the years to go. So we now have, Brian, you're here? Okay, the presentation of the Regional Research Advisory Committee Awards by Brian Ness.